When people are in trouble, they call the cops. But in New York, when the cops are in trouble, they call the emergency service unit. This is a specially equipped truck used by the New York City Police Department's emergency service unit. And it's pretty much ready to do anything. I'm going to have to need Sergeant Mike Crowley and Officer Jack Griffith to explain some of this to me. Mike, here's the first thing I want to know about. What is this? What are pigtails?
Oh, pigtails are nothing more than electrical connections that we use when we string lights out.
Wait, Jack, what were you working on? What is this thing?
This is the Drawers of Life. Known to most people as that. We call it the Hearst tool. We use these to extricate people from vehicle accidents.
What is this here? What, do you use this for animals?
Yes, this is an animal control system that we use. In the city, we have a lot of pit bulls and sometimes possums, raccoons.
You guys go under the water? You go on top of buildings? You come out of helicopters?
Some of us even rappel amphibiously into the water.
Into the New York City rivers. Now, that's brave. But equipment isn't always enough. In 1984, emergency services faced Eleanor Bumpers, an emotionally disturbed woman barricaded in this apartment. They broke through the door and tried using a restraining bar they'd invented. But knife in hand, she escaped the bar and rushed the officers.
She was coming at the officer who had a hand shield, and she was able to get her hand over that, about to stab him. And one of the police officers, with a shotgun, fired 2 rounds, both of them hitting the woman.
Eleanor Bumpers was dead, the police officer indicted, and the city knew it needed a new tool to handle the mentally ill.
We're sorry. We'll try to do better. I think we can do better. We invented the T-bar. The rest of the nation is using it. We'll try to invent something else, and hopefully this won't happen again.
Nobody shoots me that way! Nobody shoots! I'll get him!
This is New York City's new invention. It's not a piece of equipment, but it is a tool for the mind.
You know what I'm dealing with? They're dealing with me. They're dealing with Madonna.
It's a class at John Jay College where professional trainers guide the officers through the psychiatric disorders that they'll see on the street.
Okay,
A specially trained actress is showing the classic rage and delusions of mania.
Could you tell me what he did, Madonna?
Brian, he didn't treat me like a lady.
Why not? Am I racist enough?
Then there's the psychopath.
Aren't I good enough for a duty captain?
We'll have to make that assessment, Louis. I don't
Intelligent
know.
and manipulative, he gains control of the situation.
And who's in control?
You're in control, Louis.
I didn't do wrong. I didn't do wrong. It was my wife.
And they learn to recognize the schizophrenic through her hallucinations and garbled speech.
He didn't want the wires. He said, no more wires, no more wires. No more yelling, no more yelling, no more wires, no more yelling.
One of the things that
Joyce St. George leads the training.
To understand what different diseases do to different people. It's going to help you get one more tool so that if this person is doing word salad, if this person is delusional, if this person is talking to him or herself, if it's 95 degrees out and she's got a ski jacket on, they might be indicators that there's schizophrenia going on. If that's the case, that might help you determine how to work with that person.
A lot of people on the street now that they're going to encounter.
Professor Ray Pitt and Sergeant Mike Crowley help run the class.
With the symptoms of schizophrenia.
How technical do you get about your evaluation of what's going on with the other person? Do you, in your head, say, this person is this kind of psychotic, or do you actually do you have to get clinical about your evaluation?
It's important for the officers to know whether, if a person's delusional, whether, he's maybe schizophrenic, or maybe he's manic, or maybe he's suffering from cocaine psychosis.
And you have a different technique to use with each of these people.
Just the other day, we knocked out a peephole and I looked in, and the worst scenario was that we had a barricade who had offed his mother inside. And I could see that this guy had all the classic cases of schizophrenia. It was 92 degrees, and he had a ski hat on, and he was inappropriately dressed. He was mumbling. I also could tell from his demeanor and from what I've learned that schizophrenics of this type are probably not violent. And I told the captain, I said, we have a classic schizophrenic here. I said, everything I know about schizophrenia, this is him, and he's probably not violent. And it encouraged the captain to enable us to pop the door and go in, and he went like a lamb.
There's no problem. There's no problem.
The science of the classroom meets the chaos of the street. The officers have to make a diagnosis. Here, Sergeant Crowley thinks it's a drug-induced problem called cocaine psychosis.
All right, talk. Right now, there's no trouble. Just come out, talk to us, and that's it.
He's barricaded, he's intox with apparently crack, and he's highly agitated. The family in there is just making it worse. He's like wildly fearful.
Aaron, there's nothing to be afraid of. Aaron,
The officer's threatening tone is not getting him the results he wants.
Aaron, you're not in trouble, Aaron. Open the door. Okay?
We try to avoid getting into power struggles where we say, Aaron, come out. And he says, no. He says, no, Aaron, come out. And he says, no, Aaron, come out. And when you find yourself in a power struggle like that, one of the points that we review in the course is to try and take a different tack. Tell him your name, ask him what's on his mind instead of constantly telling him, we're not here to hurt you. Ask him what he's afraid of. Maybe we're doing something to make his fear worse.
Aaron,
To me, he looked like a deer who was looking into headlights. He was in complete panic.
come on out.
Yeah. Tell you what, let me take a shot of Tilton. Hey, Aaron, can you hear me? Aaron, my name is Mike. Can you hear me? We're not here to hurt you. Hey, listen, I appreciate your attention.
Sergeant Crowley tries to ease the situation.
Okay, listen, let him come out. Let's not push in. He's got too many places to go. What the hell is going on?
But violence erupts inside.
Take the door. Take the door. Okay.
It's not a textbook ending, but with the attempt to talk first, it's at least a beginning.
We can learn a lot from Aaron if our minds are open to the possibilities. What maybe 10 years ago, it might have been the same tactics, the same outcome, but he would have been just another psycho 10 years ago. Whereas today, we can take our experience with him and try to analyze what his behavior indicated. And maybe that will help us for future jobs.
What's your name, ma'am?
Anything, I don't want anything. Helen Harris.
Helen. Why don't you come on out here and talk to me?
Don't you call me Helen. My name is Mrs. Harris. I'm Mrs. Harris. And I have a bottle.
Back in the classroom, Officer Coble is learning about landmines, the verbal kind.
Mrs. Harris, you want to call me John? You can call me John.
The first big landmine was when you called her Helen, right? And how did he get out of that one? He let her walk it through, do the whole course, and then he apologized. I'm sorry. I'll call you Mrs. Harris. You can call me John. So you're always going to hit the landmines. It's what you do with them that's going to make a big difference. A lot of people would get into a power struggle.
Have you eaten lately?
Will you give me the food?
It's an approach that may seem to go against traditional policing.
Take you to get a
But when it works, it avoids the use of mace, taser stun guns, or worse.
4 years ago, it was not uncommon for us to have to battle it out about why you don't have to taser her. Now, it's a given that you're going to talk it through.
That's one of the revelations about this kind of training. We're actually going to start to deal with someone who's acting crazy.
What's the percentage, though, of calls that you get that force you to deal with people with emotional problems?
We were dispatched to, I think, somewhere between 38 and 40,000 of them in the 5 boroughs in 1992.
What percent of your workload would that be, Mike?
Taking all of those calls into consideration, it approaches 40% of our workload.
So they really need this training. A hostage job for emergency service. A severely disturbed man is holding his 4 children at gunpoint.
We came up to the door, took control of the door by tying off the door. My partner, Steve Green, took the point with the shield and a 9mm and started negotiations.
He's at a certain level of aggression. The last thing I want to do is raise that. Then the children could be in definite peril. So the class was very good on giving us somewhat of a guideline to work by. What to listen for in him, what might set him off, what could possibly steer him in the direction we want to.
In his demented way of thinking, he might be of the opinion that what he's doing is in the best interest of the children. But if we can somehow let him know that we're on his side, that we also have the welfare of the children, and convince him that that's true, well, then our battle is half won.
And in this case, the battle is eventually fully won, without violence. Since the class started 7 years ago, New York has seen negotiated surrenders like this go up by nearly 40%.